The examination hall of the Galactic Xenobiology Institute fell silent as Professor Zelthar activated the holographic display. 300 students from 62 different species sat in attendance, their various appendages poised over data tablets, ready to demonstrate their expertise in the most dangerous and exotic creatures known to the galaxy. Diana Chen sat in the back row, the only human in the entire auditorium. She'd grown up on a colony world called New Montana, where her family ran a small agricultural settlement. Now at 23 standard years, she found herself surrounded by beings who had studied xenobiology in the most prestigious academies across the stars, while she'd only earned her spot through a scholarship program designed to include species from frontier worlds. Today's final examination will test everything you have learned, Professor Zelthar announced, his crystalline body refracting light in sharp angles. I will present holographic specimens of the galaxy's most fearsome predators. You must identify them, describe their capabilities, and outline proper containment protocols. Failure to correctly assess any creature could mean death in the field. Diana glanced at Oliver Tam, another human student who sat 2 rows ahead. Oliver had grown up on Earth itself, educated in proper academies, and had actually seemed nervous about these exams. They'd barely spoken during the semester, divided by their vastly different backgrounds. The first hologram materialized, a creature with obsidian scales and 6 legs, each ending in razor-sharp claws. "Ah, the Carillion slasher from the Andromeda sector," whispered a Vex student beside Diana, her tentacles undulating with confidence. Students throughout the hall rapidly documented their observations, noting the creature's threat level of 8 out of 10, its weakness to sonic frequencies, and the reinforced titanium alloy cages required for containment. Diana wrote down the same information. Though something about the creature seemed almost cute to her, it reminded her of the scaled lizards that used to sun themselves on the barn roof back home. Several more holograms followed. A poison-spitting Drellax, a phase-shifting quantum stalker, an armored siege beast from Kepler 442b. Each time, the auditorium filled with furious note-taking and worried chittering. Each creature was classified as extremely dangerous, requiring specialized equipment and multiple trained handlers. Then Professor Zelthar activated the 7th hologram. The auditorium gasped collectively. Several students actually retreated from their seats. The hologram displayed a creature approximately 2 meters tall at the shoulder, covered in brown and white fur. It possessed 4 legs ending in claws, an elongated snout filled with teeth, and eyes that seemed to track movement with predatory intelligence. Most unsettling of all was the notation beneath the hologram: origin unknown, threat level unclassified, multiple crew fatalities during specimen collection attempt. Handlers warned, approach with extreme caution. This specimen, Professor Zelthar said gravely, was discovered on a remote human colony world. The survey team that found it lost 3 members before they could retreat. It apparently lives in agricultural structures and demonstrates pack-hunting behavior, strategic thinking, and the ability to track prey across vast distances. Several xenobiologists have attempted classification, but none have successfully captured one for study. What you see here is composite data from surveillance footage. The hall erupted in frantic discussion. A Kroll student suggested it might be a genetic experiment gone wrong. A Thessian hypothesized it could be a human bioweapon. Oliver, Diana noticed, had his hand halfway raised but seemed uncertain. Diana stared at the hologram. Then she started laughing. The laughter started as a quiet chuckle but grew until tears ran down her face. The entire auditorium turned to look at her, hundreds of alien eyes, stalks, and sensory organs focusing on the human girl from the frontier. "Miss Chen," Professor Zelthar said coldly, "perhaps you can share what you find so amusing about a creature that has killed multiple sentient beings." Diana wiped her eyes and stood up, still grinning. "I'm sorry, Professor, but that's Fluffy. He lived in my barn." The silence that followed was absolute. "Excuse me?" The professor said. "That's a dog, Professor. Specifically, that looks like a St. Bernard mix, maybe with some Australian shepherd. We had one almost exactly like that on our settlement. His name was Fluffy, and he was the gentlest creature you'd ever meet." A Vex student turned toward her, tentacles rigid with disbelief. "That creature killed trained xenobiologists." "Well, yeah," Diana said, walking down toward the holographic display. "If you came at him aggressively or threatened what he was protecting, He'd defend himself. Dogs are pack animals. They bond with their humans, their pack. If your survey team came in with weapons drawn, scanning equipment, tried to capture him or threatened the colonists he lived with, of course he fought back. She pointed at the hologram's features. Look at his posture. His ears are back, tails down. He's scared and defensive. And you said he lived near an agricultural structure? He was probably a working dog, helping guard livestock against actual predators. Oliver spoke up for the first time, his voice carrying across the hall. She's right, Professor. I grew up with dogs on Earth. They're not predators to humans, they're companions. We domesticated them thousands of years ago. They're loyal, intelligent, and protective, but they're not dangerous unless provoked or defending their pack. Professor Zelthar's crystalline form seemed to dim. You're telling me that this creature, which demonstrated advanced tactical thinking and took down armed personnel, is a common domestic animal on human worlds? Extremely common, Diana confirmed. There were probably a dozen dogs in my settlement alone. Families keep them as pets. They help with work. They play with children. She smiled at the memory. Fluffy used to let my little sister ride on his back. He'd follow her everywhere, making sure she didn't get into trouble. A Thessian student raised the appendage. But the report said it tracked the survey team for kilometers, that it seemed to anticipate their movements. They're bred for that, Oliver explained, standing as well. Different breeds have different capabilities. Some are trackers, some are herders, some are guardians. Humans have been selectively breeding dogs for specific traits for millennia. What you encountered was probably a guardian breed protecting its territory and family. The professor manipulated the holographic controls, and additional images appeared. Surveillance footage of the creature playing with human children, sleeping peacefully near a dwelling, herding four-legged livestock with gentle precision. The survey team, Diana said more seriously, probably scared him. Dogs have incredible hearing and sense of smell. They can detect threats humans might miss. If your team came in like they were hunting a dangerous predator, with fierce scent and aggressive postures, the dog would have responded to protect its home. She looked around the auditorium at the assembled aliens, seeing their confusion and dawning understanding. This is why humans keep dogs. They're not just pets, they're partners. They evolved alongside us. They understand us better than most species understand themselves. Professor Zelthar was silent for a long moment. Then he said, Miss Chen, Mr. Tam, you've both just demonstrated something more valuable than textbook knowledge. You've shown that true xenobiology requires understanding not just individual species, but relationships between species. Context matters. He deactivated the hologram. Let this be a lesson to all of you. The most dangerous assumption in xenobiology is that you understand a creature based solely on its capabilities. A dog protecting its family is a formidable opponent. A dog meeting friends is harmless. The creature doesn't change, only the context does. Diana sat back down and Oliver turned to give her an approving nod. Around them, alien students frantically updated their notes, adding a new category they'd never considered: domestication and symbiotic relationships. After class, Oliver approached Diana. That was impressive. Where did you say you were from? New Montana, she replied. Small colony world. Nothing fancy. Maybe that's exactly the perspective this field needs, he said, smiling. Want to grab something from the cafeteria? I'd love to hear more about frontier life. As they walked out together, Diana couldn't help but laugh again. Wait until they learn about cats. The galaxy, it seemed, had a lot to learn about humanity. Not because humans were exceptional warriors or technological marvels, but because they'd learned to build relationships with the creatures around them. And perhaps that, more than anything, was what made humanity truly unique among the stars.